Hi everyone, greetings of the day. This is me Simran Anand and I'm going to explain you about SciPy in Python. Right? So you might have already been familiar with the various programming packages available in Python. Right? We know that Python offers a lot of inbuilt packages. So one of the most popular packages in Python is SciPy or Scientific Python. So just like libraries that you may be aware of, like NumPy, which stands for Numerical Python, we have Pandas for data analysis and manipulation, Matplotlib, Seaborn for data visualization. Likewise, we have SciPy, which stands for Scientific Python. So it's a library in Python which is useful for scientific and technical computing. It is actually built on top of NumPy array only, right? It's built on top of NumPy package and provides functions for optimization, integration, interpolation, linear algebra, statistics, and more. So basically, I'm going to show you a few examples in code as to what all you can achieve with SciPy. For example, you want to perform a linear algebra operation of, let's say, finding the determinant of a matrix, or you want to actually solve a set of linear equations, minimize or maximize a function. Then you can use the features which SciPy actually provides. So if you want to actually install SciPy library in your system, then let's see the simple command. Firstly, you activate your Python environment if you are working on VS Code. Currently I'm showing you this demo on Google Colab, which is a Jupyter Notebook ID on the cloud. So you say exclamation pip install SciPy because it's Google Colab. So for installing any package, you write an exclamation before pip, right? Because it indicates that it's a bash command. So because the OS which Google Colab uses is Linux. So you say pip install SciPy. Let's see. So it would say requirement already satisfied because Google Colab already comes with a set of libraries pre-installed. So SciPy being one of them. Okay, it's already installed, but if it is not installed, it will install the latest version of SciPy. The next operation which I said you can do with SciPy is linear algebra. Once you have installed SciPy, all you have to do is you have to import the necessary modules from SciPy. Now for actually performing linear algebra operations, that is solving system of equations which you do, you have to import the linalg library, the linear algebra library called as linalg from SciPy. Then you import NumPy as NP. We are importing NumPy as NP because firstly, in order for you to perform these linear algebra operations, you would require a set of NumPy arrays, right? And I hope you know what are already NumPy arrays. So you can see over here we have created NumPy array, which is it's basically a two-dimensional one. We can see here because we have 3,1 and 1,2, and there are two square brackets. So yes, the dimensionality is two-dimensional NumPy array we have over here. We are trying to define a matrix A and vector B for the system AX is equal to B. For example, the system of linear equations is in this form, AX is equal to B. We know that over here A is a matrix and B is a vector. So when I say it's a vector, it's a one-dimensional NumPy array, and when I say it's a matrix, it's a two-dimensional NumPy array. So A matrix is basically np.array, and this is the NumPy array you have created, and the B vector is np.array 9, 8. The next step is to solve the system of equation Ax is equal to B for x. Now if you want to actually find the value of x, what do? You say x is equal to linalg.solve A, B. By using this function, the solve function, which is inbuilt to linalg module of SciPy, you are basically solving this system of equations Ax is equal to B, where you are actually trying to find the value of x here. So you see x is equal to linalg.solve A, B would give you the value of x. You print the solution to the system like this, right, using these statements. So let me run this cell, and as expected you would see the solution to the system Ax is equal to B, because that is the line I have printed over here. F of x, so basically I'm printing this f string over here. Okay, so I want this to be formatted in a form. So I say x is equal to, and in the placeholder I give the value of the variable x. Now the x variable would be over here the result that we get from solving this linear equation set. So we can see 2 and 3 are the values for x. So in order for you to verify, we know that we can say Ax is equal to np.a, x, because you know Ax is equal to B Here AX is the dot product of A and X, A matrix and X vector. X is a one-dimensional array, and over here A is a matrix which is a two-dimensional numpy array, and B over here is a one-dimensional again. So we can see the verification, AX is equal to 9,8 and B is equal to 9,8. So we can see AX and B both are equal. That is how we have successfully verified after solving, after getting a solution to this system. So that's about how easily you can use SciPy to your use case over here, which is for solving a set of linear equations in NumPy. Now, I've also said that SciPy can be used for other scientific computation like integration. If you want to actually perform an integration operation, then firstly you need to import the integrate module from SciPy, import NumPy as NP. This is a user-defined function I have defined here, which is to integrate. Now the function says I'm defining a function f of x, so that's the name of the function, right? F is the name of the function and the argument provided to the function is x. I'm defining the function using the keyword def. So it's going to return me x square plus np dot sine of x, which is a function, right? The body of the function here. Now I want to calculate the definitive integral of f of x from 0 to pi. So this is over here the lower bound and the upper bound of the function. In order to get this, I basically call this module integrate.quad. I'm getting the quadratic integral over here, passing the function which I have f 0, np dot pi, because it is going to take the values, the lower bound being 0 and the upper bound being np dot pi, which is pi value. So that is what we are getting here, result and the error. The result of the definite integration is, as we can see, the integral value, which is result. So on basically using integrate.quad function, providing the function name we have defined above, the lower bound and the upper bound, we are getting two things, the result as well as the estimated error in calculating the definitive integral. So if I just hover over it over here, you can see what parameters also this function actually accepts. As you can see, quad over here is an inbuilt function for the integrate module, and it is basically accepting all these parameters. The function name, a comma b, which is a lower bound and the upper bound, to the argument provided to the function, and all the others are the optional arguments which are set by default. That is how easy you can actually calculate the definitive integral of any function by giving a range to the argument. The next very helpful use case I find is in statistics and data analytics. Now statistics being one such use case where I see you want to actually understand the data distribution first before you do the EDA, which is exploratory data analysis. Very important that you understand the statistical features of the data like the mean, median, mode. And I hope you're aware of all these central tendencies as well. Like mean is the average, mode is the frequency, and median is the central value when you have sorted your data in ascending or descending order. So that's what. If you want to simplify that with SciPy, simplify the programming, then you can do that firstly by importing the stats module from SciPy. SciPy is a library which consists of various inbuilt modules which you are importing for different purposes. So here for solving the statistics use case, we are importing stats module from SciPy. I'm importing NumPy, Matplotlib. Now I'm generating random numbers from a normal distribution. As you can see, this is the function stats.norm.rbs. Log is mean and scale is the standard deviation. To calculate the basic statistics, I say np.mean, which is basically to get the mean, median and mode, and np.median of data, np.std, which stands for standard deviation. Now stats package is basically over here helping me to generate random numbers from a normal distribution. Reason? Because I have used the function norm.rvs. RVS stands for random variable. Okay, random variates of the given type. As you can see, it's an inbuilt function, and norm indicates because you want to actually generate random values or numbers from a normal distribution. So that's the reason. And here, as you can see, the arguments are log, scale and size. Log here indicates the mean of the normal distribution. Scale over here indicates the standard deviation of the normal distribution. And as we know, normal distribution is a distribution in statistics which has mean equal to 0 and standard deviation equal to 1. That's the reason I have provided here mean equal to 0, which is log, and standard deviation indicating scale equal to 1. The size, or how many random numbers you want in the normal distribution, is basically 1000. Now, as I can run this cell, you can see that it is performing a test which I have given above, and that is the t-test. I want to perform t-test for this data which I have, randomly distributed normal distribution. And as you can see, on testing with the t-test one sample method from stats module, we can see if the mean is significantly different from 0 or not. I pass the data and I check whether it is different from 0 or not. Essentially, you know that if it's a normal distribution, the mean will be exactly 0. But we want to quantify how much is the mean different from 0. So if it is different from 0, if mean is not equal to 0 for a normal distribution, we know that the normal distribution is rather having skewness in the data, right? So we are firstly printing the basic statistics of the generated data, the mean, median, standard deviation, and then printing the results of the sample t-test, which is we are getting the t-statistic and the p-value. And you know, like this is a hypothesis test we are doing. A t-test is a type of hypothesis test. So we are getting t-statistics and p-value, and we also would like to plot a histogram to better analyze the skewness and the kurtosis, right? So this will give us an idea whether it's a normal distribution or not. As we can see that the mean is, if the mean is exactly near to 0, right, then we can say that yes, it is a normal distribution data. So we are also plotting a histogram over here for the data, and PLT is the matplotlib library we have imported above. .hist is the function to plot a histogram in matplotlib. You pass the data, the binning. Number of bins indicate how many groups or segments you would like to have. Basically, as you can see here, it indicates the number of bars in your statistics. Density, yes, I want true, and alpha 0.6, which is nothing but the opaqueness or the transparency level of your of your data. So higher value of alpha means it's a darker color. So 0.6 is what we have set here, and for the color green, that's by G. So the title to the graph is histogram of normally distributed data. On the x-axis we are plotting values, and on the y-axis we are plotting densities in the data, because it's a continuous data distribution. And as we can see that this is the kind of graph we get, right? We got from the sample t-test, we perform t-statistic and the p-value. Alright, so we can see it's a normal distributed data. Now the last use case which I want to actually also include in this video is the optimization. What is optimization? Optimization basically means you can either minimize or maximize an objective function present in your data. So you're working on data analysis, and definitely you come across different use cases like giving you the most optimized route. So for example, you're working on a traveling salesman problem. Now there, in a traveling problem, you want to find the shortest path. In there you want to minimize the path. So there you are performing some minimization. But for example, you are working in a supply chain inventory. There you want to maximize the profit. So there also, whether you do maximization or minimization of any objective function, then that is a kind of optimization you're doing. So here we are importing optimize module from SciPy library. Here is a custom function which I have defined, which is x square plus 10 into np.sin of x, which basically means that it is the sine of x. 10 sine x. So basically 10 sine x is the equation, right? Is the expression. So x square plus 10 sine x. The reason why I did np.sin x is because it's a numpy function. Sine is basically an inbuilt function present in numpy array. So that's the reason np.sin of x. So result is equal to optimize.minimize of. I'm minimizing this function by passing the argument x0 is equal to 0. So in place of x, we have 0 over here, because that is what the argument I have given the value to, right? In this argument which I have passed while calling this minimize function. So 0 square plus 10 into np.sin of 0. So sine of 0 is 0 and 10 into 0 is 0. So let us see what will be the optimization result. As we can see that the optimization result, we are trying to optimize with the minimize method over here, right? So with the minimize method, we can see that the optimization result is result.x, which is minus 1.3. So that is the value of the, that is actually the value of the result what we get. So basically optimize dot minimize over here we're trying to minimize this function. Though this function must have returned some value, we have used the minimize function over here to minimize the scalar function of one or more variables, right? So as you can see over here, if you want to know more about how this minimization happened, there is some good examples for you to understand over here in Colab as well, which you can take a look at. Like we can see that in the examples, which I scroll down, you can understand that what kind of an expression was applied and what function was actually applied on this, right? So we can see if this is a scalar value. For example, we say x is equal to 0, so 0 square plus 10 into 0 will be 0. But if you are further trying to minimize this scalar function, it's going to return you some value, and that value is minus 1.306. So that is how you have done the minimization over here using SciPy. So we have seen optimization, statistical analysis of hypothesis testing. We have also seen linear algebra, how to solve a set of linear equations using SciPy, and the integration as well using SciPy. It makes it very easy using the inbuilt functions and modules which are available in SciPy or Scientific Python to actually perform these purposes. And you can also solve a set of physics equations, signal processing equations, and ordinary differential equations of any order also using SciPy library very seamlessly. I hope you have learned something new today. Thank you.